Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day to you all. My name is Kurnia, student number 21510017 from English Department Class A. So today I would like to tell you about the folklore which is origin from East Nusa Tenggara. The title is The Dragon Princess of Komodo. So long time ago when the world seemed much smaller and its creators much greater, there lived on Komodo Island a man called Mpunajo and his wife Leia. They are among the first people of Komodo Island, and they live in a bay called Loch Navi in Gilimanjaro, where Mpunajo was a chosen leader in the village. So have you heard this story before? If you are curious about this story, let me tell you. So long time ago when the world seemed much smaller and its creators much greater, there lived on Komodo Island a man called Mpunajo and his wife Leia. They were among the first people of Komodo Island, and they lived in a bay called Loch Navi in Gilimanjaro, where Mpunajo was the chosen leader of the village. But the community was constantly attacked by the fearsome Bajo people, nomadic sailors who would openly signal their raids while still far out at sea, with a great clashing of sword and how to hide so that they float in the sunlight. At this, Mpunajo and his people would flee to the mountains, returning to find their village plundered of whatever had been left behind. One day, Mpunajo gathered the villager and made an announcement. "My people, we must move from this place. The Bajo will attack us. At last we become little more than wild animals. Let us go inside the mountains, there to live from the bounty of the forest. We shall cultivate gardens, pick fruit and hunt the deer and the wild pigs that are plentiful there." Mpunajo's wife Leia had fallen pregnant. By the time the new village was finished, she was ready to give birth. Indeed, she was experiencing great pain, for it is not easy to leave your home and build a new one when you are carrying a child. And there was another problem. The village had no dukun or local doctor. Strange indeed, for Leia had given birth to a human son and a twin sister who was far from human. She had pale skin, hooded black eyes, and a tail. There was no mistaking it. Tiny as he was, Mpunajo saw in his daughter the characteristic of the giant lizard that roamed the savannah beyond the village boundary. "We have son! We have son!" Mpunajo boundary. "We have son!" Mpunajo begins uncertainly, looking up at his wife, but to his dismay, he saw that she was no longer breathing. There was a little time for Mpunajo to indulge his grief, and here he had two newborn babies to bring up alone. His son he named Sigerong and his daughter Aura. So time passed and Aura stayed away from the livestock. The villagers grew suspicious of this dragon living among them. Only her father and her brother Sigerong showed her love. In fact, Sigerong preferred to play with his sister than with the other children. The two would climb trees together, the little boy naked but for his shell. Of course, the strange-looking cocoon birds through the forest. Sure enough, Ori finally amped back to the house that evening. Sigerong was overjoyed and embraced his sister. Their father smiled, but said nothing. One day, Sigerong was hunting at the edge of the forest close to the savannah when he heard a rustling close to a stream. He stopped at once and stood stock still. The deer was a big one, a male with high-pointed ears and legal antlers. So confident was he in his abilities, Sigerong decided to creep closer, hoping to plunge the spear directly into his quarry. Silently, he approached at the deer trunk until at last he gathered himself and leaped from the underbrush with his spear raised. But in that instant, another form appeared, reading onto its hind legs, mouth open, and a single eye, black as a bony, fixed on the deer, which stood paralyzed. It was a dragon. The large Sigerong had ever seen. Reflexively, he turned and leveled his spear at the great reptile, for he was loath to lose his prey. The dragon turned its head slightly and lifted itself higher on his forequarters. But as Sigeron drew back his weapon, a dazzling struck his eyes and he turned his pace to the ground. When he looked up again, the deer was gone and there stood before him the radiant figure of a woman. "Put down your spear, my son," she told him. "Would you kill your own sister?" Instantly, all the memories from his childhood came back to him and his cigar fell to his knee. "Yes, she is Aura. I bore you together. Consider her your equal because you are Sebai." With this, the vision of their mother disappeared. Man and dragon stared at each other for a long time. Then, as one, they turned away, Sigeron in the direction of his village, or for the savannah. From that day forward, Sigeron and his people treated the dragons with kindness. So the lizard roamed freely in the surrounding woods, feeding themselves on these wild figs, and the deer and the other creatures and dwelt there. And if a dragon became too old and fend for itself, the people of the village would feed as though it were a member of their own family. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoy it. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.